How's it going, peeps? It is now time for the raw results / highlights and review video. I'll go over the results, some of the highlights in my opinion, and give you guys my thoughts and my review on the show. So it kicks off with the Authority coming out, but not just the Authority, they also came out with Vince McMahon. That's right, Vince McMahon comes out. First off, he announces that the network is free for the month of November, and he then also talks about Survivor Series and the Team Cena versus Team Authority matchup. And he says he wants, this generation to feel what he felt, true power. And he brings up the battles he's had before, like against Ted Turner and WCW. And he says he beat the government once, the US government. And then he says he wants to raise the stakes of that Survivor Series matchup between Team Cena and Team Authority. He says, what if Team Authority loses the matchup, then they're no longer the Authority. They're no longer going to be in charge. And the crowd, cheers for that. It gets a big pop. Stephanie kind of looks worried, like, she wasn't expecting that. And Triple H looks like he's kind of reassuring her and saying it's okay, or, we've got this, or at least that's what it looked like he was saying. And that was pretty much it. They then get out of the ring. Vince's music hits, but then Dean Ambrose's music hits. He comes out, and he shakes Vince McMahon's hand. And then he gets in the ring, and he prepares for a matchup against Cesaro. Afterwards, we see Stephanie McMahon, Triple H, and Vince backstage, and Vince is walking to his limo. He gets in, and then he leaves, and then Stephanie looks at Triple H, and Triple H is like, what was that all about? And then Stephanie says, I don't know, and she says, let's figure this out, and then they leave. And after that, Cesaro makes his way to the ring for his matchup against Ambrose. They show replays of their match on SmackDown. But anyways, Ambrose wins this match too when he hits Dirty Deeds pretty much out of nowhere after a pinfall attempt from Cesaro. So he hits Dirty Deeds, covers him, and wins the match. After the match, and also, I forgot to mention this, during the match, Bray Wyatt came out and watched from the stage. Actually, the white signal, popped up, and then all of a sudden they went to commercial, and then once they came back from commercial, Bray Wyatt was on his rocking chair on the stage watching the match. So he didn't interfere in the matchup, he didn't attack Ambrose or anything like that. Like I said, Ambrose wins. After the match, the lights go back off. Once they come back on, Bray Wyatt is no longer in the chair. And then after that, we see Stephanie and Triple H backstage. They're still, worried about the whole Cena versus Authority matchup with the new stipulation added from Vince, where if they lose, then they're no longer in charge. And then Triple H pulls out his phone and he starts calling somebody. And so Stephanie asks him who he's calling, and Triple H says that he's calling Randy. And then Stephanie says, Randy, the same Randy that RKO'd Seth Rollins last week, the team leader of Team Authority. And she says the same guy also that defied, our, our rules, or, defied the Authority. And then Triple H says, yeah, because of the news, stipulation added, they need the strongest team, the strongest Survivor Series team ever. So he's calling Randy. And then Stephanie doesn't look too happy about it, but Triple H goes ahead and calls. Jimmy Uso then took on The Miz, and the match ended when Miz and Jimmy Uso were on the outside, and Jimmy Uso then grabs The Miz, puts him back in the ring, and then Damien Mizdow, in an attempt to copy The Miz, imitate The Miz as he usually does, he also gets back in the ring, but then Jimmy Uso sees that, so he pulls Mizdow out of the ring, and then Jey Uso superkicks Mizdow. Jimmy Uso then gets on the apron, but The Miz catches him with a kick, and then he gets him back in the ring, hits him with a skull-crushing finale, covers him, and wins the match. And then after that, Sheamus took on Tyson Kidd, and Rusev was watching backstage on a television monitor. So anyways, Sheamus actually loses the matchup. Tyson Kidd wins the match by countout when they started fighting on the outside, and then the referee was at the count of 8 or 9 or something like that. And then Tyson Kidd goes ahead and gets behind Natalya, and he puts Natalya in between him and Sheamus, so Sheamus, doesn't go after him. And then Tyson Kidd at the count of 9, he gets back in the ring, and then Sheamus tries to get back in the ring, but he gets in too late. Referee counts 10, and so Tyson Kidd wins by countout. And then after the match, Sheamus bro-kicks Tyson Kidd, and the crowd actually boos. The crowd boos Sheamus for bro-kicking Tyson Kidd after the match. Following that, Dolph Ziggler goes out to the ring for a matchup, but then The Authority's music hits. Triple H, Stephanie McMahon, Joey Mercury, Jamie Noble, Kane, Seth Rollins, they all come out. And pretty much to sum up the promo, because it was a long promo, Triple H just gave a really good promo and sales pitch to Dolph Ziggler to join Team Authority and to tell John Cena that he doesn't want to be a part of Team Cena. He tells him pretty much that if he joins Team Authority, then he's going to get whatever he wants. So then, in the end, Dolph Ziggler tells Triple H, so I get whatever I want. And then Triple H is like, yeah. So then Dolph pretty much says that he doesn't want the Authority in charge. He wants Joey Mercury, Jamie Noble, he actually calls them these two jabronis, out of here. He says he also wants Kane out of here, Seth Rollins, and all of that. And then Triple H goes ahead and makes Dolph defend his IC Championship against Seth Rollins right then and there. So it's Seth Rollins versus Dolph for the IC title. And also, during Triple H's promo, he did announce that Randy was now a part of the team, and so is Kane. So, back to the IC Championship match. It actually looked like Seth Rollins was going to win the match when Jamie Noble and Joey Mercury got involved. They both got on the apron, caused a distraction for Dolph, and then Seth Rollins grabbed Dolph, and he threw him between the turnbuckles, so into the steel post. And then he was setting him up for the curb stop. He hit the curb stop, but then all of a sudden, the crowd starts getting really loud. They start cheering, so you know something's up. Somebody's gonna interfere. And I'm thinking Ambrose. I'm thinking Ambrose maybe attacks Seth Rollins, and then Bray Wyatt comes and he attacks Ambrose or something like that. But no, it was actually Randy. Randy comes from behind Seth Rollins and hits an RKO out of nowhere. And then he looks at Jamie Noble and Joey Mercury, who tried to get involved afterwards. They got in the apron, but then they didn't get in the ring once they saw Randy looking at them. And Randy then just leaves the ring. And Kane, he gets out and he looks at Randy. He's like, Randy, what are you doing? And then he gets back in the ring and helps Seth Rollins up. And yeah, so Dolph retains his championship by DQ. The referee actually didn't ring the bell. But since Randy did RKO Seth Rollins during the match, I'm assuming, Dolph lost the match via disqualification, but because it is a DQ, he retains the title. And then backstage, we see Stephanie and Triple H. Stephanie tells Triple H, you see, we can't trust Randy. And then Randy comes in, and he starts yelling, and, he's going crazy. And he wants Seth Rollins in the match tonight. And eventually, Triple H goes ahead and says, okay, you've got the match up, but after you have the match with Randy, I want you guys, to get it out of your system, do whatever you have to do tonight. And then after the match, you guys pat yourselves on the back, get on the same page, and prepare for war together because they're going to war against Team Cena at Survivor Series. So Randy goes ahead and agrees and shakes Triple H's hand, and that's it. The match is on for tonight. And then we get a Luke Harper promo video where we just see his eyes. And after that, we see Titus O'Neil in the ring, and it looks like he's trying to join Team Authority, but then Ryback interrupts him, and it's Ryback versus Titus O'Neil, and Ryback wins in a pretty quick matchup with the Shell Shock. After that, Renee Young interviews The Big Show, and he says that he'd be honored to join Team Cena in fighting the Authority. And then he talks about Mark Henry, and he ends the promo by saying that he wants to knock Mark Henry out of his life. So then after that, we get the actual matchup between Henry and The Big Show. At some point in the match, Big Show hit a spear on Mark Henry on the outside. It was a pretty big spear. And then after that, we also had Henry hitting the World's Strongest Slam on The Big Show, but Big Show kicked out at the count of 2. Now, towards the end of the match, they're on the outside, and Henry grabs the steel steps, and he hits The Big Show with the steps, of course, causing a DQ. And then he puts the steps down and grabs the Big Show and hits the World's Strongest Slam on the steps. And then backstage, we see Triple H and Stephanie and Kane. They were all watching the matchup between Henry and the Big Show, and they're impressed by Henry's aggression, so they want to try and recruit him for Team Authority, so they send out Kane to go talk to Mark Henry. And then following that, we get Renee Young trying to get an interview with Brie Bella, but before Brie could talk too much, Nikki Bella interrupts her, and she tells her, did I tell you could do an interview? So then she tells Brie to leave, because they've got a match next, or actually Nikki has a match next. So then Nikki goes out to the ring, and it's Nikki versus Emma, and at ringside, of course, is Brie Bella, and on commentary is AJ Lee, because Nikki is the new number one contender to AJ Lee's title. So Nikki wins the matchup with the Rack Attack, And after the match, she tells Brie Bella something in her ear. She whispers something to her, and then Brie Bella kind of looks like she doesn't want to do it, but Nikki goes ahead and tells her to do it. So Brie gets out of the ring. She goes towards AJ, and then AJ gets up off her chair, and Brie Bella goes ahead and slaps AJ. So then AJ hits Brie Bella back, and then she runs towards the ring, gets in the ring, and tries to go after Nikki, but Nikki runs out of the ring. And that's it for that segment. And then we get an Xavier Woods promo. It seems like he's got a new gimmick now, and I don't know, it looks like he's a priest or something. But anyways, after that, it's Zack Ryder versus Rusev. They show a tweet of Zack Ryder suggesting that, Cena pick him as one of his teammates in Team Cena. And then Rusev comes out. Rusev beats Zack Ryder in a minute, maybe 2 minutes tops. With the accolade, of course. After the matchup, Lana and Rusev cut a promo on how they're going to beat Sheamus on the network, and then Sheamus comes out and says that if they think that they're going to take the US title from Sheamus, they're delusional, and that Rusev is going to be in for the fight of his life on the WWE network. And then once they come back from commercial break, we see Stephanie McMahon approach Rusev and Lana backstage, and they were watching the matchup that Rusev had with Zack Ryder. They were impressed, and they want Rusev in Team Authority, and Rusev goes ahead and whispers in Lana's ear, and then Lana tells Stephanie that they're going to confirm with Putin, and then they're going to get back to Stephanie. Then they had a matchup between Fernando from the Los Matadores and Stardust, and at ringside was Goldust, and also on commentary was Miz and Mizdow. So it looks like they might be after the Tag Team Championship soon, I'm not sure. But anyways, Fernando actually wins the matchup when Goldust goes ahead and pushes Diego onto the steel steps, and then El Torito drop kicks Goldust into the Miz and Mizdow. So then Miz and Mizdow get mad, and they start yelling at Goldust. Well, the Miz is yelling at Goldust, and Damien Mizdow is, mimicking the Miz, and then that slight distraction allows Fernando to hit the backbreaker, or not the backbreaker, the backstabber, the backcracker. I'm not sure what it's called, because Carlito used to call it the backbreaker. No, not the backbreaker. I mean the backcracker and then the backstabber. I'm not sure what Diego and Fernando call it, but anyways, he hits the backcracker on Stardust and wins the match. After that, it was time for the main event, which was Randy versus Seth Rollins, and the entire authority is at ringside. Triple H, Stephanie, Kane, Jamie Noble, and Joey Mercury. Now, in this matchup, they both hit their signature moves. Randy hit the DDT, Seth Rollins hit the powerbomb, or actually, did he hit the powerbomb? Actually, I'm not sure if Seth Rollins hit the powerbomb. I actually think he didn't hit the powerbomb. But he did hit his springboard knee. I do recall Seth Rollins going for the powerbomb, but Randy backdropping Seth Rollins instead. And towards the end of the match, Randy hits the DDT, and then he prepares for the RKO. So he goes for the RKO, but Seth Rollins counters it, and he quickly reverses it into a backslide and gets the 3 count. So Seth Rollins beat Randy, and then after the match, Joey Mercury and Jamie Noble get in the ring, and they congratulate Seth Rollins, and they also congratulate Randy. Randy, though, looks kind of pissed off, and then he goes ahead and talks to Triple H, telling him, he has a hard time, doing what they agreed on beforehand, backstage earlier. But he then goes ahead and shakes, I think it was Jamie Noble's hand. He shakes Jamie Noble's hand first, and then he goes ahead and shakes Joey Mercury's hand. And then Seth Rollins was the next one, the one right after Joey Mercury. He was next to him, but he goes ahead and instead shakes Kane's hand. And then, the only hand left to shake is Seth Rollins' hand, of course. So he takes some time, and Seth Rollins extends his hand first, and then Randy shakes it. But something's gonna happen. Randy's gonna RKO him. When Randy's this close to somebody and he shakes their hand, it's very likely he's gonna hit an RKO, and he does. He hits Seth Rollins with an RKO. He just snaps, and then Jamie Noble, Joey Mercury, they all charge Randy. Randy throws Jamie Noble. He throws Joey Mercury. And by the way, at this point, the crowd's going wild. They're excited for Randy. I guess turning face. And he also throws Kane out of the ring. And at this point, Triple H, he was about to like attack Seth Rollins some more, but Triple H gets in the ring to stop him, tries to calm Randy down, and eventually it looks like, okay, he got Randy calm, Randy's okay now, he's gonna stop. And Randy then eventually, goes ahead and tries to leave, but as he's about to leave, he bumps into Triple H, and Triple H turns him around, and when he turns him around, Randy decks him with like a forearm to the face, and that's when, the entire, like, authority, or, Kane, Jamie Noble, Joey Mercury, they get back in the ring, they all attack Randy. Randy still fights back, he fights them off for a bit, but the numbers game ends up being too much. And then Seth Rollins, actually Kane, Jamie Noble, and Joey Mercury set up Randy on the announcer's table. And in the matchup between Randy and Seth, Randy had taken off the announcer's table top, so it was already taken off along with the monitors and everything. But I think there was like one thing left on the announcer's table. So when they put Randy on the table, Seth Rollins went on the table as well, and he hit the curb stomp on Randy, but I think there was something, like, on the table, and Randy, I think, like, hit his head against it, or on it, I mean, because afterwards he was busted open. He was bleeding from, like, the forehead, so I'm pretty sure it was something on the announcer's table. So after that curb stomp, it still wasn't over. Stephanie, she looked really pissed off, so she tells Triple H to end it. Basically, telling Triple H to, and Randy, to, I don't know, hit him with a pedigree. I was expecting, like, a pedigree on the announcer's table, but Triple H looks like he doesn't want to do it. He's like, damn. And, so what he does is, he tells Kane and the others, end it, and he just leaves with Stephanie. He doesn't want to, I guess he doesn't want the blood in his hands, or on his hands, so he leaves, and, he lets, Kane, Jamie Noble, Joey Mercury, and Seth Rollins take care of Randy. So they grab the steel steps, and they put Randy on the steps, and then Seth Rollins goes ahead and gets on the announcer's table. He does Randy Orton's own taunt, and then he goes ahead and hits the curb stomp. Oh yeah, and by the way, before Seth Rollins hit the curb stomp, the second curb stomp, Kane, after they put Randy on the steps, he actually tripped on Randy's foot and fell down. And the crowd was laughing. I laughed too. It was just pretty funny. So anyways, yeah, like I was saying, Seth Rollins hit the curb stomp from the announcer's table onto Randy, onto the steps. And that was it. Afterwards, he hits the Randy pose once again. And that was it for the show. So, what did I think about the show? Highlights, man. Highlights for me? I'd have to say Randy. Randy was the highlight of the show. Him snapping, him, costing Seth Rollins the IC Championship match, because I did not want Dolph to lose the championship. I want Dolph to have a good reign as champion, hold on to the title for longer. So I was happy that he didn't lose the title. It was cool, for Randy to stop Seth Rollins from winning that championship in his, I guess, road to becoming a face. I was expecting it to be Ambrose, when the crowd was getting loud after that curb stomp to Dolph Ziggler. But it was a nice surprise to see that Randy came in and hit an RKO out of nowhere. And also, of course, another highlight, Randy Orton once again, at the end of the show, when he went ahead, RKO'd Seth Rollins, threw everybody out of the ring, even hit Triple H, and then, Seth Rollins took him out just like he took out Ambrose, except instead of the bricks, he took him out on the steel steps. I'm thinking we're going to see Randy get some payback at Survivor Series, whether he's in the match officially or not. Especially because, it's Survivor Series, I believe, is in St. Louis, so, I'm definitely expecting Randy at Survivor Series. Also, I'm happy that they added the stipulation to Team Cena versus Team Authority matchup, because now it adds another, layer of unpredictability to the matchup. And, surprise, the biggest surprise of the night for me was Tyson Kidd winning the matchup against Sheamus. I know it was via countout, it wasn't like a pinfall win or anything like that. But still, I was surprised that Tyson Kidd beat Sheamus in a non-title matchup, in a match period, and also the very same day that he's supposed to be facing off against Rusev for the US Championship. I was fully expecting Sheamus to win his matchup against Tyson Kidd. Overall, it was just, I thought it was a good show. I loved the Randy face turn. I didn't expect it to take place on this Raw. I was expecting if he was going to turn face, that maybe it would take place at Survivor Series. So it was a nice surprise there too. Overall, I thought Raw was pretty entertaining tonight. I'd give it like a solid 7.5 to 8 on 10. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, as always, you can click that like button down below. It really helps me out. And you can expect some more 2K15 videos and also some Supercard videos this week. So with that said, I'm out, guys. See ya.